Hi, I'm Karen McCarthy, and it's time to Karen-ize. Today's Wednesday when we talk about spiritual health, and today we're wrapping up our talk on thankfulness. So before we get into, I have a couple of stories for you today. Before we get into them, I would really like it, I would love it, in fact, if you would just comment some things that you are thankful for. If you did that last time, that's great. I'd love to hear even more things you're thankful for. But today's focus is a little bit different. It's talking about people that we're thankful for. So write or comment, I can't talk, comment some people that you are thankful for this year. They can be past, present, or even future people. So have a great one and enjoy. Go in a slightly different direction today, and that is how we can show people that we are thankful and how important that is. So I went back and forth. I have two stories, but I couldn't make up my mind, so I'm going to tell both of them. The first one is about a lady who had worked as a custodian or a janitor for a company for like 2 decades. And the company went through a sale and a new owner took over. And within the first week, he made sure that he did a personalized thank you note to each and every employee. And he had his assistant take them around. And the employee stopped by the gal who was the custodian. And, you know, it's kind of a thankless job a lot of times. All of those behind the scenes jobs sometimes don't really get a lot of recognition. And anyway, she got her card, she opened it up, and she started crying, and she asked if she could go home. And they thought that maybe she'd gotten sick or something, I guess, although the crying should have been a clue. Anyway, they let her go home. And later they found out that in the 2 decades that she had worked for that company, she had never gotten any form of recognition. Not a verbal thank you, not a attaboy, a good recommendation, nothing. She had gotten nothing to indicate that she was of value to the company. And when the company changed hands, she was thinking that it was probably a good time to just retire and go home. And this changed her mind totally. She had a renewed joy in her job and stayed on. So it's really important that we acknowledge people. You know, the people that get recognition a lot, that's great, but there's a lot of people that don't get recognition, and we need to make sure that we're thanking them and letting them know how valuable they are. So the other one I'm going to read to you. As a former teacher, I really liked this one, and I think it's just one page. Okay. So when Mrs. Klein told her first graders to draw a picture of something for which they were thankful, she thought how little these children who lived in a deteriorating neighborhood actually had to be thankful for. She knew that most of the class would draw pictures of turkeys or bountifully laden Thanksgiving tables because that's what they believed was expected of them. What took Mrs. Klein aback was Douglas's picture. Douglas was so forlorn and likely to be found close in her shadow as they went outside for recess. Douglas's drawing was simply this: a hand. Obviously, but whose hand? The class was captivated by his image. "I think it must be the hand of God that brings us food," said one student. "A farmer," said another, "because they grow the turkeys." "It looks more like a policeman and they protect us, I think," said Lavinia, who was always very serious. "That is supposed to be all the hands that help us," but Douglas could only draw one of them. Mrs. Klein had almost forgotten Douglas in her pleasure at finding the class so responsive. When she had the others at work on another project, she bent over his desk and asked whose hand it was. Douglas mumbled, "It's yours, teacher." Then Mrs. Klein recalled that she often took Douglas by the hand and walked with him outside. She often did that with all the children, but that it should have meant so much to Douglas. Perhaps, she reflected, this was her Thanksgiving and everybody's Thanksgiving, not the material things given to us, but the small ways that we give something to others. Oh, just touches my heart. And I had a little bit from the other one. Where was it? That I was going to say. The first story, they ended it by saying, "We can all take a few lessons from the story about the janitor. Go the extra mile. Thank your stars and pray for them. You're a star when you do. Sometimes saying it is not enough. You can document it with a simple thank you card or a note. Then send it on its way, I can't say that, with a prayer to touch the hearts and lives of family and friends and customers, partners, employees, and suppliers, so many others that we often take for granted. Keep your stars shining. Thank your stars. I really love that. So I want to leave you with a couple of verses. This is more on the spiritual side of thankfulness, how for me, I am very thankful for God and everything He's done for me. The fact that He loves me in spite of, oh man, I have not been a great person sometimes, and I do a lot of sinning. Not as much as I used to, but I still do, and I have to really work on myself to keep that carnal side of my being at bay. So anyway, Psalm 7:17, I will give to the Lord the thanks most due His righteousness, and I will sing praise to the name of the Lord Most High. Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His love endures forever. That's 1 Chronicles 16:34. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving and thank a lot of people.